Hi, I'm Laura Mize, pediatric speech-language pathologist, and welcome to TeachMeToTalk.com's Therapy Tip of the Week. 2 weeks ago, we began a series for children who are really visual. As a reminder, these are kids who prefer toys with lights or toys that spin. This might also include our little friends that are really obsessed with visual kinds of information like numbers and letters. They're pointing them out everywhere they go. Sometimes these little guys, remember we talked about, don't even like to play with regular toys because they're so hooked on doing things like playing games on the iPad or mom's phone or even watching DVDs for hours. So we're talking about toys that really use that visual interest to capture a child's attention and help him want to participate and play with you, and eventually get to the point that we can target language skills. And remember again, the hook here is the visual piece. That's the piece that makes the kid want to stay, that makes the kid want to come from across the room to be with you. Now today's toy is really cool. It's called My Little Pony, and it's a Ferris wheel, as you can see. Now this is an older toy. You may not be able to find it in stores anymore, and I think it may be a little pricey if you're trying to get it on a site like eBay, but just keep digging, keep looking, you'll be able to find it over time, and it is a winner. The premise here is that you push the star, and look at that. How fun is that? And I like that there's a setting that you can push the star and it goes and you hear the music, and then you push it again and it stops. So a super fun toy for toddlers and even some younger preschoolers. All right, let's talk about from beginning to end what our goals would be for children who are at various developmental levels. Certainly we're working on cause and effect. And again, if you're not a therapist and aren't quite sure what that means I do something and then this happens. So what's the cause and effect thing, movement, action that you're getting with this toy? You push the star and then the toy operates, and you eventually it stops, or you push it again and it stops. And so it's a great early way to teach that. But again, even with an older child that's maybe not mastered that yet, you're really giving them something fun to pay attention to. So that increases the likelihood that they'll stay with you. I love to work on pointing with this toy too. A child can certainly hit the star with his whole hand and operate it. So our kids with motor challenges that aren't doing that yet, you can use it for them too. But I love that the star is small, and it really gives me a reason to talk to a kid about pointing, and do it with your finger is what I usually try to say with that. So love that toy to work on this skill. Another early goal is just building attention and task completion, so that a child completes the entire play routine. So for this kind of toy, what would that mean? It would mean that we are going to select an object, put it in the Ferris wheel, and you know, I would never really let a kid just push the star and watch the wheel go and go and go. I'm always wanting to bump a kid up, so I would pretty much insist that we use another little character or some kind of object to go in the seat. So we've selected our object, we've put it in, we've pushed the button, we've watched it, and then we can either take the animal out and do another one, or what I usually do is just let kids fill up all the seats, and then we practice putting the toys away, whether we're singing the cleanup song or something like that, and then we're finished and we move on to a new toy. The goal here would be to complete the whole play routine from start to finish before we move on, meaning that I'm not going to let him run away and not stay with me and finish this whole little play routine. All right, so for kids who are really struggling with this, we might just pick 1 or 2 animals and that's it. Then we clean up and we move on to something else. But that's how you begin, and you build that attention and that participation piece over time. Now this is a My Little Ponies toy, and so you can use the ponies, but more often than not, I take what a toy comes with and then bring in other toys to make it more fun for toddlers. So I have found the My Littlest Pet Shop animals fit beautifully in these little seats, and it gives me more vocabulary opportunities and more novelty if I can use some additional animals beyond just using that one or two ponies that would come with this set. If you have other tiny characters or people, that would be a lot of fun too. For those kids who aren't really playing with you yet, stick to picking an animal though, pushing the button, watching it spin, and then repeating the process. And again, when the seats are filled up, we move on for the play routine. All right. Another great goal here is targeting receptive language because you're modeling the word. And let's just talk about how this would sound for a word like duck, which would be an early word we would be teaching our little friends with receptive language issues. So what might you say? You might say, you know, after he's picked the duck, you say, look, it's duck. What's duck say? He says quack, 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 quack. Look, put that duck in there. Now watch, it's going to spin. And you would encourage him to push. Some kids, though, can't take that much language, can they? That would almost be overstimulating or overwhelming. So for those kids, you might just stick to duck, quack, 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 duck, duck in. Can you see how we've simplified that language and how that would be really important for some of our children who have comprehension delays and deficits? So really pay attention to not only what the kid is saying during therapy, but what you are saying, and make sure that you're matching what your goal or your focus needs to be. For kids who don't understand very many words, we need to keep it as simple as possible so that they don't just tune us out or don't learn to link meaning with the word that we're trying to teach them. When a child is a little further along, you may also work on receptive language in this way. You might hold the two animals here, and then you would say to her, you know, get the bird. Where's bird? Find bird. And as she's reaching for bird, you naturally want to make it a little easier for her. Even if she's reaching for monkey, you may want to stick that bird out there a little closer. That's called airless teaching. You're minimizing the possibility that she makes a mistake. And that's a great, great way to work on receptive language with toddlers. If you have children that these Littlest Pet Shop animals would be too abstract for, because frankly some of them look a little strange, you might stick to more familiar vocabulary and just gather tiny versions of objects. I have a ball here, a dinosaur, a little horse, a car. So you may want to think about using those sorts of materials as well to make it a little simpler, particularly for children who have really more significant receptive language issues. Okay, for expressive language, for children who are ready to work on that, remember that we don't necessarily start with single words. We may start at that gestural imitation level where they are imitating me dancing to the music, or whether they are imitating me signing go or round and round, whatever I would say. We may also, for expressive goals, begin with simple signs for request, signs like more, signs like please. If they're a little further along and I'm teaching signs for animal names, this is a perfect toy to use for that. Particularly if you've just been stuck kind of using those Fisher-Price farm toys or something like that. This is a nice way to kind of spice it up and maybe even generalize some vocabulary that you've taught with other things like puzzles or books, or again, your kind of tried and true toys. This is a way to mix it up a little bit. When kids are ready to begin to vocalize and imitate you vocally, don't necessarily start with the word. You can certainly target animal sounds here and have lots of opportunities to do that within the context of play. When kids are at that single word level and you really are ready to teach specific vocabulary, one way I do like to do it is with choices. So this would mean that I'm not saying, what's this? Tell me this. You can't have it till you tell me. Instead of doing that, I would offer a choice and say, would you like doggy or monkey? And the kid can pick then, and he's still hearing me model what his target is. For children who need to work on vowels, who are at that intelligibility level, you can certainly use your prepositions here with words like in and out and off and on and up. You can teach other prepositions as well as down and around. You can even do under. I've done that with children, you know, when I've been hiding the animals under. So great language activity too to really target different parts of speech beyond just those nouns or naming words. You certainly can use your action words here too. Stop, go, walk, ride, run, jump, fall. You know, you can make your animals do all kinds of things on the way to the Ferris wheel. If we're working on expanding play, we may even bring in some other little accessories and do things like eat and sleep. And that'll be your receptive language piece too, where you're giving lots of directions for a child to follow. You know, you might say, make Birdie eat, and then Birdie can ride. And so you can even give some two-step directions to make it more complex. Back to expressive language. We can do a ton with this toy with phrase practice or your children who are ready for early phrases. And I like to do this first with an anchor word. What is an anchor word? An anchor word is a word that you'll use in one particular position in the phrase, either the first word or the second word, and then the child just has to focus on changing that next word. So for dog, if we were using dog as our anchor for phrases here, we might have some requests for more dog, or please dog, want dog. We could do some things with my dog. We could do some actions with, you know, walk dog or go dog or anything where dog is in the second position. And again, it makes it easier because the child doesn't have to think about getting two new words in a phrase every single time. Certainly, I've used this toy a lot for my toddlers who are a little bit older or my young preschoolers where we're really starting to focus on speech intelligibility. I like to use this toy when we first begin to think about changing vowels from syllable to syllable. So words like bunny and monkey or turtle or dino, those are great targets for that sort of goal as well. So you can see one toy has so many possibilities, just like we've talked about in the last 2 weeks. I want to also mention another toy that I frequently use for this, and it's a little washing machine. And again, we're talking about toys that have that initial visual hook. And I did a therapy tip of the week about this a while ago. I didn't want to repeat that here, but it's so related to what we're talking about that I've posted the link below the video here so that you can take a look at that therapy tip of the week if you've not seen that before. All right, today we talked about a lot of different goals. I want to mention receptive language again. If you need some ways to target receptive language with toddlers, please check out my DVD series, Teach Me to Listen and Obey 1 and 2. All of those activities that you'll see there are me with my little friends, my little clients during speech therapy and working on receptive language in a very developmentally appropriate, play-based way. So be sure to check that out. All right, that's all for this time. I'm Laura Mize, pediatric speech language pathologist, and thank you so much for watching TeachMeToTalk.com's Therapy Tip of the Week.